Welcome to another edition of Flea Market Fantasy, the world's second greatest Bronze Age era comic book podcast. Joining me, as always, is new Michael, Kevin Jank.
I'm here, but it's a sad Kevin Jank this week. It's been a rough week in the world of comics.
Really?
Yeah. Peter David died the other day.
Oh no. You,
Yeah.
you love Peter David.
My favorite comic book writer. And he passed away.
Oh, I had no idea. My
Yeah, very
condolences.
sad news. I know he'd been sick for a while, so this isn't a total shock, but very sad. I mean, he had been writing up until recently. I don't even know he when I stopped reading comic books was probably 2 years ago now, a year and a half. And he was still doing stuff at that point. So I don't know. He's still cranking it out.
Yeah, you do love your Peter David.
Yeah, he's as far as like writers go. I mean, there's other people who have done better, singular things. Like this certain story was excellent, but like for consistency, I feel like I've never read a comic he's done where I was like, this is dog shit. It's at least better than it should have
God.
been. I don't know. He was a master of combining like humor and like pathos at the same time, and actually making you care about the characters, which is a rarity.
So our best to the Peter David family. I did
Yeah.
like I do remember reading some of his X Factor I liked, you know.
Yeah. Oh, it's
Yeah.
all good stuff. I loved it.
Yeah.
And he was the master of doing these like long running gags and long running storylines that like you're like, I don't know if this is ever gonna pay off. And then sometimes they like it really would.
Sometimes it would.
I'd say most of the time. Like, I don't know. I can't think of any that were like, oh, they just totally dropped that. Like there was a whole thing where like in X Factor, I remember there was like this one guy who was like, oh, I hate mutants. I'm gonna kill them all. And he created like a big robot battle suit or something. And then he went outside in the battle suit while it was raining, and he forgot to insulate it, so he just electrocuted himself. And then like a couple issues later, they were like that guy's brother was like, oh, I'm gonna pick up where my brother left off, and
Oh
he made
no.
himself a robot suit that had like big fan hands, and
Oh
he's like,
no.
it's just like you activated the hands and cut his own head off with the thing. And it's like, oh shit. And then they
Oh.
reveal like a third brother later on in like an annual who was like
How many brothers?
actually was a mutant. Well, this guy actually was a mutant, so he's with the reason like, the other brothers hated mutants so much. But he was still gonna go get revenge for them. Then he died, I think, as well. And then there was finally like an annual a couple years later where like he brought all three of them back to life, and they all got to like team up, and it was great.
All right. Well, there you go.
I love that
So,
long term story planning. I love it.
so again, our condolences to Peter David's friends and family and the Jank because he loves Peter David.
Oh, sure do. We might have to
But
do some top 11s on this show, like put out some top 11 videos, and maybe I'll do a top 11 comic book writers at some point.
I don't know who my favorite comic book writer would be. I grew up on Claremont, of course,
Of
so
course.
he'd be up there. But Frank Miller, he did all the Daredevil stuff I liked, and
Frank Miller,
Wolverine.
again, classic case of, oh, this is great. But then he did stuff like All Star Batman and Robin or like Dark Knight Strikes Again, where she's like, oh, this is straight garbage.
Yeah, I never read
Why is
those.
Batman telling Robin to stay in the cave and eat rats and calling him, a little R word? Like, that's not what you want out of Batman.
Yeah, at some point, writers tend to become a parody of themselves, because they just
Yeah.
keep doing the same stuff to the more extremes. All right. Anyway, this issue, talk about some sad things. Holy hell. Why don't you tell the people what we're reading today, Jack?
So today we're going to be reading Detective Comics number, the thing is still loading, but
78.
578.
Uh-huh.
578. The fourth part of a four-part Batman Year 2 storyline.
Yes. Batman Year 2.
Yeah. Because
Because
everyone loves Batman Year 1,
yes,
but
after the enormous success of Batman Year, which was Frank Miller, right? And David Mazzucchelli.
Kelly,
So what can you do after that? You got to follow it up with this.
yep. That's right. It's they took a swing. I don't know if that they connected, but
Randomous.
yeah.
All right, so we'll
There's
get into it.
interesting aspects to this story
Really?
that, yeah, sure. I like the return of Joe
Save it,
Chill.
save it,
That's
save
always
it,
good.
save it, save
Yeah.
it. Let's but before we get into it, let's remind everybody if you're watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe. We up to 364 subscribers, picked up three more. And again, if we get to 500, Jank is going to make me read The Dark Knight Returns.
Yeah. by Mike Dell's possibly favorite writer that he's never read one of his best storylines.
I've only read his good stuff, so I don't know.
You creep.
But we'll read that, and also what else do we got to say about this? I don't know. It seems like people are going back and still watching old videos on the channel. So
Yeah, that's good. I'm glad
yeah,
that they're finding an audience later on.
that's
It's
because they
just,
sure as hell didn't find it the first time around.
I mean, it's not like these are topical. Nobody's like, oh,
I know that's the
this was the
problem.
week that the Mighty Crusaders were super popular. Like,
Yeah,
I
the
don't think
Crusaders
so.
are doing well for you. They snapped their dry spell, but
Thank God.
we'll
Something
see how
had
this
to.
one does. All right, and also I have a book out there called Monkey Flip about a chimp detective. All right, so let's think about this Batman Year Two thing. So I guess yeah, these are in the pages of Detective Comics, and that's a weird thing they did, huh? Put them in Detective Comics, but yeah, what can you do? I guess
Yeah,
Batman was always in Detective Comics, huh?
sure.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's where you started.
a lot of Batman. How many Batman books were there each month? Just
Ooh, at this point, I think only two.
all right. Well, that's good.
But yeah, by the 90s, it definitely expanded quite a bit. And nowadays, I couldn't even tell you.
Well, I will point out before we get into this that this story was so successful and so beloved by fans that DC wiped it out of continuity years later.
Yep,
So,
that's right. That's how you know it's a good book.
so who are the creators here, Jank? The writer is that Mike W. Barr? Is that who that is?
W. Barr was the writer on this one, and the penciler was, of course, our old buddy McFarlane.
Todd McFarlane. Yes. Now we've talked about both these gentlemen on the show many times before. I know. I think the first time we talked about Mike W. Barr was Mike L. Miles Watson and I did a Batman special one or something, or is that
Oh,
what that
with
was called?
the Wraith,
Yes.
yeah,
Yep.
the
Yep.
Wrath,
Yep.
whatever it is. I always
And
get it
yeah,
wrong.
whatever his name is, I don't know. I think it was somebody like that. Michael Golden, I think, did the art for that.
Oh yeah, no wonder
And
Mike L
we've
picked
talked about
that.
him many times over there. He's a famous Batman scribe. That's why it's so shocking that this book was written the way it was. But anyway, the artist Todd McFarlane. This is before he went to Marvel and did Spider-Man and rocketed to stardom.
Probably shortly after he did that Infinity Inc. that we did
Yeah, yeah.
in
Because I will
time.
say his art's not egregiously awful here. It's
I don't think it's ever egregiously awful, but I guess I
because
have a
again,
different
for
taste
those who
than
haven't
you.
heard me talk about McFarlane in the past, he's kind of like the exact opposite of Jack Kirby for me. Because when I was a kid, I hated Jack Kirby, but now as an old man, I can respect him and appreciate his art. Now, but Todd McFarlane, when I was a kid, an 11-year-old, I loved him. He was great. And then
Yeah.
and as an old man, I'm like, this is garbage. What am I watching? It hurts my eyes to look at it. What
Oh,
is?
I still love it. See, compared to like that Captain America issue last week, which felt like 20 years older than it was, these came out probably in the same year. I think it was both
Yeah.
1987.
Yep. Yep.
Feels
Yep.
much more modern, and I liked it much more.
Much more modern. I will say I don't know who the inker here is. What's his first name? I don't know. His
Um,
last name is Alcala. So when this issue or the storyline started, the first installment, the artist was Alan Davis.
that's right. He did the first issue and then
You couldn't have
brought in
picked that
Todd.
one?
You know, I like myself some Todd.
But the interesting thing is, Paul Neary, who's Alan Davis's longtime inker,
Yeah.
stayed around to ink the second issue with Todd McFarlane, and he did a lot of cleaning up McFarlane's bullshit. So it's almost it looks like an actual comic book.
So really glad we did 578, huh?
Yeah. So anyway, those are the creators here. And what else do I have to say about this story? I don't know. Batman Year Two.
Loved it.
I guess
Yeah, I mean it's again they did kind of take it out of DC continuity, although there was a sequel in the 90s, I guess before they took it out of continuity. They decided to do like a one shot. I think there was like the Return of the Reaper or something like that. I don't know. But some kind of
I
follow
think
up.
yeah. Was it? Was it Joe Chill's kid
Yeah,
or
Joe
something?
Chill's kid becomes the new Reaper, and yep.
Yeah. For those who don't recall, Joe Chill was the little criminal there who killed the Waynes outside the movie theater walking home in front of poor Bruce.
looms large in the pages of Batman.
But then if you read the Joe Chill stuff, they like over the years they've changed it. Like he wasn't the killer, then he was the killer. I don't know. It's a lot
Do
of
that.
stuff.
I know they've done a lot of things. I know in post, New 52 era, there was the whole three Jokers thing where they revealed that there was actually three different Jokers. And then like they wanted to make a new Joker, like the best Joker ever. So like we're gonna get Joe Chill and make him a Joker. That'll be
Oh
great.
no.
So they tried to do that, but it didn't work. Like I think Batman saved him, and it turned out that version of Joe Chill was actually like, sorry and had been writing a bunch of letters to Bruce Wayne apologizing while he was in prison, but he just like couldn't send them or whatever.
It's ten ply. All
Yeah.
right. So that's who Joe Chill is. And
Yeah.
basically the story here is that this is in year two of Batman.
Yes.
And so
I don't even know that part is necessary. I guess it's just you
yeah.
want to set it in his earlier days. So he doesn't have as much baggage, but
But it doesn't really make
uh
sense because this killer is like so the villain here is a street vigilante called the Reaper.
yeah. Who apparently had kind of been working the streets of Gotham well before Batman came around and then kind of retired. And he's, I guess the appearance of the Batman has kind of brought him out of retirement because he doesn't think the Batman's got the stones to go all the way.
Yeah, because that's one of my problems with the story is it's supposed to be year two of Batman, his innocent days and whatnot. And this Reaper guy, he's walking around with these two giant like blades on his hands, two
I
sides, and just
feel like
slaughtering people.
like our favorite baboon Shakma. I think wooden doors would be a big problem for this guy
Yeah,
because
he can't
I don't know
open
how
anything.
he's going to get through
Yeah, because
anywhere.
he's not just holding these things. They're like metal balls that he puts his fists into, and
Yeah.
they're spiked metal balls, and they got these big sides off them. And
And they can
also,
also shoot bullets out of there
yes.
somehow.
Well, I saw how because in an earlier issue I flipped through, like a barrel pops out of the ball, the metal ball, like a little barrel will just pop out, and he can
Yeah.
shoot gun. Yeah, it's crazy.
Hands can do anything except what hands do normally.
But my problem with this is that we should also say he wears like a cloak with a hood, and he wears like a skull mask and
Yeah.
red leather body armor, and with
That's right.
spikes,
It's very garish looking, yeah.
very gimpish. So, but what was I saying here? Oh, yeah, because it's year two of Batman and more innocent time back in the day. Yet this guy's going around slaughtering people with giant blades, cutting off their. It's incongruous. It just doesn't fit, you know?
Well, I mean, if you look, I don't know, I don't think you have actually read Year One, but Year One is like a gritty mob story, basically. Like it's
But is
also,
there a vigilante going around cutting people's heads off with blades?
well, no, but Catwoman's like a prostitute and stuff,
Well,
so
that's
I don't
fine.
know. Yeah.
But this, I don't know. It just seems a little excessive. And so this guy, what's his name? Caspian, I think is his last name.
Yeah.
Um, I forget his first name. We'll call him Jimmy. So Jimmy Caspian, he's like a socialite, rich, fancy guy during the day. He pals around with the Waynes, and I guess he has a similar story. This is also oddly very similar to that Batman Special One we talked about earlier, where in that story, like a guy had a similar thing happen to him, where his family was killed in front of him or whatever, but he went bad, you know.
Ah, yep.
So in this story, uh, this Caspian fella, his wife was murdered by a criminal, so he became a vigilante, and but he's more of a vigilante. He kills people and slaughters them.
He's
Um,
more Punisher than Batman, yeah.
yes. So yeah, very similar to that. And I guess this aspect of the story also influenced Mask of the Phantasm. Is that something that you ever watched, or the?
That was the Batman the Animated Series, the first movie they put out. It was actually in theaters and everything in like '93 or whatever. But it's a very similar story. The Phantasm is the villain there, who is looks a little bit different, but it is kind of similar in that it is like a cloaked figure with a skull face. It's more of like a gray and black look. It looks a little bit better, to be honest.
Was he hacking people apart with giant curved blades?
I believe the Reaper
Little
just had
spoiler
one.
alert.
Yeah. It was one blade, so this villain could actually get through doors. But yeah,
Oh, okay.
it was this kind of a similar setup where they kind of made it look like the dad was the villain, but they kind of pulled a switcheroo in that one.
Oh, there's the daughter.
Yeah.
So in this story, he has a daughter, this Caspian fella, who wants to be a nun. But
Yeah.
then she, I wasn't aware of that when we read this issue. So that
Yeah, the
reveal at
end
the
would
end was going
yeah.
to, I was like, wait, what?
Holy hell. Batman must be terrible in bed.
Yes. She just decides to be a nun. Like, what? But apparently that was the setup. She was thinking about being a nun or something. And then she met Bruce Wayne and she gets smitten with Bruce Wayne. And
Yeah, it's like, oh wait, I mean, I was giving up nothing to be, for vows of poverty and chastity, but now, if I could
because
be
it's
rich, I
it's
think I'll
one
take.
thing those Playboys love. It's the virginal wannabe nuns. That's
That's
who they
right.
often go for. But yeah, so Bruce
Although
Wayne
her
was
name is Rachel, so you think that inspired the character in, the Nolan movies?
I have no idea. I don't know anyone's name in any of
The
those garbage
Katie
films.
Holmes slash Maggie
Oh,
Gyllenhaal
Katie
character.
Holmes. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe. But yeah, so what was I saying here? So yeah, Bruce Wayne falls in love with her and he proposes to her in this here issue.
Yeah, that's right.
And they're gonna get married. But the other thing that's going on here is Batman tries to catch this Reaper fella because he doesn't know it's Caspian. And the first time he encounters him, the Reaper beats the holy hell out of Batman. And
That's right.
he hacks him up with the swords. It beats him up. I think he shoots him even. He just leaves him for dead. And of course, Batman somehow has a mutant healing factor, and he just shakes it off, and he's fine the next day or so.
Well,
Um,
it's year two, so maybe it was several months later. This is the span of an entire year.
oh, we should say that this Reaper fella, yeah, he was being a vigilante, and then he gave it up,
Yeah,
and he
got
went
old.
to. Well, I think he got into a fight with the original Green Lantern.
Oh, Alan Scott.
Yes, and I guess he lost that battle, so he went to Europe. He moved to Europe for a while,
Ooh,
and
yeah,
then
I
he
could see
came
that. Like
back.
he's used to just normal guys, and then all of a sudden, guy with like a weird power ring is there.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's not
should have
gonna.
used a wooden knife. He'd have been
That's
fine.
right.
So he went to Europe for a while. So then he came back. So the Reaper hasn't been around for years. But now in this storyline, he brings the Reaper back, and so yeah,
Yeah.
he beats the holy hell out of Batman. So Batman goes home, and of course Alfred just slaps some Neosporin and some bandages on it, and he's good to go. And there's also that old doctor lady who we've
Leslie
encountered.
Tompkins.
Yes, we've encountered her before on the show. And
Yeah.
she's like his surrogate mother in a way, right? She like took him in kind of when he was a little kid or looked
Yeah,
after him a little bit.
kind of. She's one of the people who knows his secrets. He goes to her for, medical things. If he gets like hurt, he
Oh,
needs to get sewn up.
if he
She
gets
sews him up.
slaughtered by a guy with giant metal blades on his hands, she patches him back up. So anyway, so he's back at the mansion there with them and mending, and he says, "You know what I got to do?" And he walks over and he says, "I got to get a little meaner here with these people." And he has the gun that Joe Chill used to kill his parents.
Ah, I don't know why you would save that, but how he even got that, to be honest.
Yes,
Must have
honestly,
broken into the police impound.
all they keep saying it was retrieved from the crime scene. Like what? How the what? How did he get it though? Did he call?
I mean, I would assume when he's at the police station seeing Commissioner Gordon, he just sneaks into the impound and yoinks.
But why would Joe Chill leave the gun?
Or they picked him up and he had it on him or something.
But did they ever arrest him for the murders?
That's true.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I don't
and
know.
anyway, um, he's got
Bad
the
idea
gun
to just
somehow.
like drop the gun with
So
your
now,
fingerprints on it.
so yeah, but he only has one gun. He's a poor thief. He's got to keep that gun.
It's all right.
So he's got this gun now from Joe Chill, and he's like, yeah, that's how the first issue ends. He's holding up the gun. He's like,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm gonna get mean. And
Break me off a piece.
so Batman using a gun.
I feel like this was kind of a way to, in the early issues of like Detective Comics in like the 30s or whatever, Batman would use guns.
Uh,
So they had not come up with that rule of him not doing that yet. So I think this was kind of their way to kind of square that circle and be like, this is why Batman was using a gun for a little bit, and then swore them off.
but I don't know why he swore them off because nothing happens here with the
Yeah.
gun of any significance whatsoever.
I guess he was just going to use it for Joe Chill. And once Joe Chill's out of the way, he's like, I don't need this then.
So anyway, I guess that Dr. Tompkins lady, she gets mad at Bruce because of him using a gun or whatever. I don't know. I think that's what
I
happens.
think she was mad because he wanted to buy her. Well, the first thing she got mad about it was I guess he bought like a fancy penthouse downtown. It was like, here, I bought you this awesome like medical
I
clinic. You
thought you
can.
meant he got a really fancy porno bag.
No, this isn't plastic, man.
All right. Yeah, you got her a fancy penthouse
Yeah, like a big
downtown.
fancy like downtown penthouse and medical center. And she's like, my customers aren't going to come here. Like I work in the poorest part of the city. Like this isn't going to work out. So she got kind of pissed about that. But he makes that up to her in this issue.
Yeah, he gets her a medical facility in the dankiest, darkest, grimiest
Yep.
alley.
It's like one of those one lights hanging from the ceiling that kind of comes in and out. She's like, perfect. This is just the place to operate.
But so that's going on, and then Batman he's Bruce Wayne's falling in love with the daughter of whatever Caspian, whatever Rachel Caspian or whatever,
Yep.
and the whole time he's trying to figure out what he's going to do. You know what he's going to do. He's got to get this Reaper guy. So
Yeah.
his big plan to get this Reaper fella though is he teams up with the local criminals. You know, the
That's right.
gangsters.
Because the Reaper's after them, so he figures, all right, these guys are basically bait or whatever, so they'll help. They'll be invested in trying to help me catch this guy. And they're like,
And
okay, we'll team you up with one of our criminals who knows a lot
yeah,
about this, Joe Chill. Work with him.
chill. The guy you killed his parents.
Yep. Awkward.
So that's the story. All right,
I mean
so
that's an intriguing premise right there.
yes,
Maybe it
I don't
wasn't
know.
delivered to the best of its capabilities, but that's an interesting premise. I always like to see what they do with Joe Chill after the climactic alleyway scene.
Yeah, I guess I don't know. There's just nothing. Just in the issue we read, it just seemed like the characterizations were off on things. But all right, so that's where we are going into this story.
Yeah.
So, and this is the final part of this epic yarn.
Yep. Batman he's working with Joe Chill just until he can get the Reaper, and then he's like, I'm gonna kill this guy.
Yes, and neither of those things happen. All right, so anyway, um, let's go to the cover. Why don't you describe the cover for us?
All right, so we got the little classy looking DC circle there in the corner. Nothing too fancy, no corner box. But we got the Detective Comics logo, and behind it is a giant like shadow of a bat, which looks really cool. I like that look a lot. It says by Barr, McFarlane, and Alcala, Batman Year Two, Part Four.
Yeah, the bat is off center, so you get like the big left wing of the bat, and
Mm-hmm.
it's tilted off. So yeah, it's positioned interestingly. So yeah.
Very cool. Like it a lot. And then the rest of the cover is like a red to kind of yellowish orange gradient. And smack dab in the middle there, you just got a big old shot of Batman with one of the Reaper's, scythes in one hand and a gun in the other hand. So that's a striking pose you don't see for Batman very often. And
Yeah.
he's got a little bit of rip in his chest. You can see he's been slashed a little bit by the Reaper. And the cape is just flowing epically in classic Todd McFarlane style, I mean, he's meant to do characters like Batman who have capes because boy, do they
He
look epic.
well, he's trying to do. He at least tried to do something interesting with the cape in this series. Like he would always art like try and make it look like an actual bat wings, like the way it's like pointy and
When he would fly through the sky, there'd be just a silhouette that looked like a giant bat. It was
yeah,
pretty
like
cool.
not as like stylized bat as the normal Batman logo, but like an actual like jagged, like a weird looking bat wings, but with more peaks in the webbing and stuff. But he tried. I don't know if I like that look, but he
I like
tried.
it a lot. I mean, if there's two things that Todd McFarlane can draw really well, it's capes and then webs or chains.
Extra chains.
So you can see why he came up with Spawn because it has all of his strengths.
Now this is one of the most interesting covers we've seen, and we should see. Yeah, the side's coming right at you, so it's almost like a 3D situation. And like I don't know what's going on there with some of the details on the side that makes it looks like it has ridges in the blade. Um,
He likes
yeah.
to put his tongue in the ridges because that's where
Yeah,
all the
like,
flavor is.
um,
What?
but This might be the first time I've ever encountered this in the 6 years of doing this show, Jank. But
Well,
this
first.
cover is just a panel from inside the book.
Yeah, that's right. Just
They just lifted
blown
a
up
panel
large.
and
Yeah.
slapped it on the cover.
I feel like that's happened before, or at least they were very
I,
similar.
yeah,
Maybe
they're
this is,
similar, but there's
yeah,
different drawings. Like
that's
this is
true.
the exact same drawing, just cut and pasted.
Yeah.
Never seen
Yeah,
it.
they just did a different color gradient in the background. That's about it.
Yeah, so that's odd.
They're like,
Uh,
this image is too good. We got to use it again.
so all right, that's the cover, and now we open it up, and I again I'll say I wasn't offended by Todd McFarlane's art in this book. It
Oh,
was,
that's the highest praise you've given him.
it's he still does some of the stuff I don't like, but because why use one line when you can use 3,000? Let's just put
I
them.
love it. It makes things look cool.
You say so. You've just suffered an emotional loss. So I'll let you have that point. I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna argue. But yeah, we open up the book and they're outside of the Brayshaw Shipping Limited, a old warehouse there, and all the criminals are inside, and they're chatting it up about what to do, and they're talking to Joe Chill. He's smoking a dart, you know.
A
Everyone's
man
smoking
after
a dart.
it's
Yeah,
true. This
darts are
is the
running
days
wild.
you can still smoke them on airplanes.
Well, the one guy looks like FDR. That's weird.
He's awfully low, like he's in a wheelchair, like FDR
I know.
too.
I
But
don't know what's going on.
yeah, I don't know.
So what are they talking about here, Jack?
Let's see. It gave me a look at how both Batman and the Reaper operate. I'll use that for next time. And they're like, oh, so next time the Reaper dies, eh, Joey? And he's like, guaranteed, Mr. M. And the Batman, Joey, he'll follow the Reaper into hell, Mr. M. You got my word. That's
Uh,
good. We'll meet again on Friday. Not the best way to go out of the scene.
we don't need
Oh,
that at all,
Friday.
actually.
Yeah.
Just end up. You have my word. That's the end. That's the end.
Yeah. I don't need
So,
to know their schedule for the week. We'll meet again on Friday, but tomorrow I'm gonna go to get some Taco Bell. You want to come?
yeah,
Like,
don't forget to host this fruit pies. Uh, so, but yeah, that last narration, it's over top of a picture of the Reaper outside in the alley, being
yeah.
Reapery, just with his cape blowing another guy with a cape. And then this Reaper, he snatches the guy who owns the comic book shop in The Simpsons, and
That's right.
he grabs him and he throws him down, and he says, "Hey Sutton," this guy's name is Sutton. He says, "Hey Sutton, they call you Blinky, do they not?" He takes his glasses off. His glasses are so thick he can see the future.
Yeah.
And he says, he tells him, "Hey, I want you to tell the police. I know you're a police informant. So what I want you to do is tell them that these criminals are having a big meeting on Friday, I guess. That's why. Oh, maybe that's why the Friday's there. They're going to have a big meeting at
Rebecca
the
Black
warehouse.
was right.
Yeah.
You're gonna get down on Friday.
So you have to tell the cops that. And if you do what I tell you, then maybe I won't kill you. So,
Yeah.
but he does break his glasses. So
Yeah. It's very Twilight Zoney. Gonna read all those comic books and now he can't.
I don't know, but was he carrying comic books or what were they? Assist
Uh
for Less by Ken Davis. What does that even
oh,
mean?
that's a good one. I don't even
Yeah,
know.
yeah, these are actual books, not comics, but um,
They self-help books or something, maybe? I
I
don't
have
know.
no idea. All right, so now we cut over to Wayne Manor, and
Yeah.
we see Bruce and that Dr. Tompkins lady.
So stately.
She's helping him get ready. He's in a tuxedo with a cummerbund and a bow tie, and he's got a big date with Rachel,
Mm-hmm.
and he's going to take her to the best Chinese restaurant in town.
Shishan.
That's what you do. Put on your tuxedo to go to the Chinese restaurant.
And
Uh,
then they sit there the whole time, like that Seinfeld episode. Can't get a
but,
table.
but then the waiter comes over and he brings their fortune cookies. And 'cause again, I don't know if you want to be going to a Chinese restaurant when you're in a tuxedo and a ball gown. Because I don't know about you, Jank, but I eat like broccoli and garlic sauce every week, at least once a week, and I spill it on my chest constantly. I'm always dropping out. Like that tuxedo would be a mess, is all I'm saying. But
By the way, before we move on from the Bruce Wayne at home scene, why does Alfred have like a little Hitler mustache in year two? It's
why
kind
does
of
Alfred
weird.
have a skull like a thimble? I don't know. It's just the
I mean, I
way.
kind of like that. It's this distinctive look for his head, so
Yes,
you can
screw
tell
off.
Alfred apart from Bruce Wayne.
He's a pencil tip eraser. Just you know, his head is crazy. Anatomy? What's anatomy? Anatomy, and not a you. So, all right, here we go. Back to the Chinese restaurant, and they bring the fortune cookies, and the waiter kind of like winks at Bruce when he brings the cookies, and
Yeah.
they're cooking up a plan, and what's her face? Rachel. She cracks open her cookie and she finds a diamond ring. There's a mix-up at the fortune cookie factory.
Good
Putting diamond
thing I
rings.
didn't eat this.
I mean, what the thing that's important here is apparently this restaurant makes their own fortune cookies. That's crazy. The place I go just has a giant box under the counter full of them.
Just a bag, yeah.
Just reach in and grab a few and throw
Unless they
them in
just
your bag.
ripped one apart and then like glued it back together painstakingly. But Bruce Wayne paid him handsomely, I'm sure.
So he proposes to her and she accepts. Yes, yes, of course. But then, Jank, the camera zooms in on the actual fortune in the cookie. Because they didn't just
Yeah.
put the ring in, they also put in a fortune. This is a good restaurant. And it
You think they
says,
would have put something that says like, "Will you marry me?" or something? But nope, it's an actual fortune.
yeah, what does it say?
It says, "You may avoid your fate, but never escape it." Ominous.
Yeah, and I'll also say that really doesn't look so much like a fortune cookie, more like a dog treat. Like the way maybe a Scooby snack.
That's true. It's almost like the bottom of a koala yummy. Should be full of chocolate.
So, all right, now we cut over. The cops are staking out the Brayshaw Shipping Limited warehouse, and this is Commissioner Gordon. This guy,
Hmm.
this Commissioner Gordon guy. A
It's a
lot
good
of
looking
lines in
Commissioner
his face,
Gordon.
huh?
Yeah, he's an old weathered cop. What do you expect?
Very small forehead. A lot of lines, though.
You gotta pack him in. I love detail.
Detail. Detail in quotes. But they're staking out the place, and they just started shooting the bad guys because there's some bad guys watching the outdoors. Or they got a Uzis and smoking a dart, and
Yeah.
the cops just shoot them. I don't know if that's illegal, but the,
Hey, the Gotham Police Department's normally just full of crooks, so if this is the worst it's getting, that's a step in the right direction.
so the bad guys then they just rush the place, start gunning everybody in sight. It could have been like a Girl Scout meeting inside. They don't know. They're just mowing down everybody. I don't know what's going on. But one of the guys, the bad guys, hits an
Sally, I
alarm.
told you it was a bad idea to sell these Girl Scout cookies down at the docks.
We should have just stayed in the fortune cookie business. But the one guy hits an alarm to warn all the big boss guys, and then there's other crooks fleeing the premises, and one of them gets shot in the back, and this time it's not the cops shooting him in the back; it's the Reaper.
Everyone's trying to take these guys down.
Yeah, and he just cuts their heads off.
Yeah. He just impales like Mr. M, that big boss guy. Just has him
Oh yeah,
hoisted up on one of his hooks there, which is pretty great.
yeah, because Joe Chill's trying to call to Mr. M. What is it, Mr. M? And yeah, he looks around. There's Reaper. Just
He has learned to fear the Reaper. The next lesson is yours.
good luck getting him off your blade now. It's
Yeah,
stuck on there.
gonna just shake that for a solid 3 minutes.
Oh, so the cops are shooting out, and then we see Batman flying in on his little ropes. But yeah, we get a good shot of like what McFarlane's doing here with the silhouette of the wings.
The moon, it
Very,
kind of looks like the bat signal, except like off kilter,
yeah.
but it's pretty cool.
But then the cops are shooting at Batman as well.
Yeah.
And what Batman does is he just puts his cape in front of him because that cape can stop bullets. Apparently, I didn't know. It's a neat trick.
Yeah, I mean, it could be made of Kevlar or something. You don't know.
I don't think it is. Uh, so then Batman. Oh, I guess we should say because the cops think Batman because he was working with the criminals for a while.
Oh, that's
And
right. Yeah.
so they think he's with the criminals. And we should also mention, I guess, early on, this year too is right when I almost call him Jim Morrison, uh,
Jim Gordon.
Jim Gordon. That would be, hey, there's a good what if issue. What if Jim
Yeah,
Morrison was the police commissioner of Gotham City?
that'd be amazing. Kind
So this year too is right when Gordon started working with Batman, right? Like they're going to start working together so that they get the bat
of we're
signal.
starting to get close. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think they actually did start working. So Batman says, hey, Gordon," at some point earlier in the story, he says, "Hey, Gordon, I'm going to do some stuff you might not understand, but just
There
know,
are things about me you wouldn't understand, things you couldn't understand,
but
things you shouldn't understand.
just know I'm okay." So he was trying to give him a tip that, yeah, I got to work with the criminals for a little bit, but I
Hmm.
guess no one really was paying attention, so they're still
Maybe he
shooting.
sent out a memo and then the cops never got it.
Yeah, they're still shooting at Batman. But it's probably that damn J. Jonah Jameson whipping them all into a furor,
That's
saying he's
right.
a criminal. But then Batman swings down and like this is this is not a good idea either. He like drop kicks their spotlight,
Yep.
and then the next panel he's smacking their heads together. But if you do that, if you swing into that light to break with your feet the way he is, you're now stuck inside that light. Like
Yeah, it'd be pretty hard to gracefully get out of that and be smacking heads in two
maybe throw
seconds.
like a batarang down or something, smash it, and then
Yeah, that would be smarter.
because
You don't
yeah,
have to
he's
do
going to be
everything yourself.
entangled inside that light now, and it's going to be very awkward. All the cops watch him extricate himself.
Sorry, my foot's stuck on a cable.
Just give me a minute, guys. And then Batman steals their truck, apparently. And yeah, again, storytelling is not the strength, maybe, of McFarlane. But
Oh, I don't know.
he just kind of jumps behind a wheel of a car we didn't even know was there. And
Well, they're using the light on top of the truck, so you can see the truck in the one panel.
they were?
Yeah,
Oh,
look
yeah,
at
okay, they were, yeah. How about that?
yeah, there you
Oh,
go.
oh, look at that. I just shocked that a searchlight's on top of a car. Because no, it's not on the top of the car. But
Oh
that
yeah.
was.
Well, he smashed it up. I guess he just took the whole thing down.
But he's driving this police wagon and he's just mowing down cops in front of. Hey, this was like that Mr. T movie. Remember when that guy drove the school bus through the
Yeah.
building?
That'd be amazing if Batman did that. Just drove a school bus full of kids into this mob scene.
And he crashes through the wall of the warehouse, and inside the Reaper's still murdering folks, and Batman's still running down cops, and I guess he hits the Reaper with the car. Is that what happens here?
I think it almost hits him because the Reaper
Uh,
doesn't seem phased by it at all.
well, again, the storytelling, but I mean, look at it. Like that. Look
The
at that
next panel,
panel.
he's crashing it into the wall, and the Reaper is just standing there watching. So I don't think so.
But no, go to the next page. First panel.
Right, right. But then look at the next panel where he's crashing it.
Yeah, I'm talking like all right, so he goes through the wall,
Yep.
but now go to the next page. And
Hmm.
that first panel, that's the Reaper.
Right, but he's like jumping out of the way. It looks like to me anyway.
He's in front of the van.
Because look at the next panel. He's crashing it into the wall, and then
Okay.
the Reaper is just standing there watching. Like,
Okay, I see what you're saying.
it doesn't look
Uh,
like he's
but I
too
mean,
injured.
there's no way that position of that body is getting out of that front of that truck, or van or whatever.
Yeah,
But
I don't know.
anyway, so then Joe Chill's shooting at Batman, and then Batman's fighting the Reaper, and then that truck just blows up for some reason.
Yeah, yeah. One of those classic action movie things where if there's gunfire around a truck, it has to explode, I guess. That's
And
just
then
how
like the whole
science works.
warehouse blows up. And they're like, the whole place is going up. It's all on fire. Uh, Commissioner, sir, I think you're going to want to hear this. It's about the Batman. Yeah, I liked back in the old days, everyone called him the Batman.
Yeah, that was
And
cool.
he's like, what about him? Uh, what do you know about the Batman? Wasn't he working with you? So they're interrogating one of the cops or the crooks they covered. This guy's dying. But he says, miserable traitor. He said he was, but only until he got the Reaper. I hope he burns. I hope he. And then this guy dies. least he hung around long enough to make sure everyone knows Batman's innocent.
Yep.
All right, so now where we go, Batman, the bat signal is being blared into the sky there, and they're like, hey, look, it's the bat signal. Um, but Bruce Wayne's ignoring the bat signal, Jen, because what's he going to go do?
Oh, he's gonna go talk to Rachel. He's
Yeah,
he's a newly fianced man, so
fiance. And again, he's telling her, hey, I got to go do some things, and they're going to be mean things, like evil things.
yeah. But
Like,
then things are gonna be great, and I'm all yours for the rest of our lives.
why even go tell her this?
Yeah, it's true. Like she's not gonna know.
Well, what benefit is for her to know this?
Yeah, you're not telling her about the Batman stuff, so why would you have to tell her that you're gonna go murder Joe Chill?
It's not like he's going there to try and get her to talk him out of it or anything. He's just going, I want to go do this horrible thing. I can't tell you what it is. But once I'm
I
done
know
with
you're
it,
probably gonna assume I'm just cheating on you
yeah.
based on this conversation.
Yeah, she's like, oh, don't worry, honey. You can do whatever you got to do.
You're a good man. Nothing you can do could be wrong.
So
He's like,
now,
all right, cool.
now we see Batman. Him in his big old cape, and he's standing next to Joe Chill's bed. And
Just watching him sleep like a little creep.
he puts that gun that Joe Chill used to murder his parents. He puts it to his head and wakes him up. And Joe Chill's like, what happened? And he's like, yeah, whatever. You were knocked unconscious by the explosion. I brought you here. A hideout of mine.
Mm,
Oh, Batman's got a hideout.
makes sense.
You already got a cave. Do you need a hideout? What the hell?
Well, I mean, it's like the Green Goblin, how he had like stashes of his, goblin gear all over the city in different places. It's just, you never know where you're gonna be when you got to break out into Batman.
And Joe Chill's like, Mr. M, dead. Most of the bosses are with him. And the Reaper, dead. Just my lousy luck. I'd better get out of here before any of the hired help talk. And Batman's like, not just yet.
Yep.
And he wants to take him to show him something.
Yeah, they're right up by Crime Alley.
Yeah,
Joe Chill doesn't recognize. He's like, "Oh, you should. You were here 20 years ago, you little
they should
bitch."
have they should have really considered changing that name because it's a dead giveaway not to do your shopping on Crime Alley. And
Yeah.
he's like, don't you recognize it? And yeah, he's like, yeah, should I? Yeah, you've been here, Chill. I was 20. It was 20 years ago. And he tells him the story of how he shot the Waynes and
Yeah, you tried to take a necklace from a woman. Her husband tried to stop you, and you killed them.
yeah, you
He's just
can,
like, that's what you say. What do you know?
you know. And he's like, because I'm their son. And he
Dun,
takes his
dun.
mask off.
Yeah, that's a mistake. You don't do
Yeah,
that.
Jank hates this. Whenever superheroes
Yep.
take their masks off.
Especially to like an enemy. You don't do that.
Well, I guess he's convinced he's going to murder him, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly. Figures this
but
is, yeah,
but look at the panel of Joe Chill's hand with the dart and Batman. Like it's clearly like that's a Spawn picture there,
very
Like
much so.
like years later
This
you
is
can see.
proto Spawn for sure.
Yeah. Um, so he pulls out a gun and I don't know what's happening in that second panel. Uh, he's knocking Joe. That looks like a Rob Liefeld drawing in that second panel.
This is the feet.
Yeah, just the way he's chilled position his body. So then Bruce Wayne's punching him. He knocked his Joe Chill's gun away, I guess is what happened there. And
Yeah.
then he punches him with the left hand.
No
And
guns, Chill. Just this one. The gun you killed them with. That's the only gun you're gonna touch. Where do you want it, Chill? In the heart, like them? Behind the ear? In the mouth? It's
I'd
getting
like it
hot.
in Philadelphia, please. And just do it if you can. I don't think you can, Bruce Wayne.
No, and he puts the gun right to his forehead.
And then Joe Chill says, well, and then what happens, Johnny?
Shot rings out, but not from Bruce Wayne. Coming from the other direction, the Reaper has shot Joe Chill in the head and exploded his head.
Why?
uh
Like if you're the Reaper in that situation, and again,
yeah,
the whole premise of this later on we find,
yes.
like
He
just
wants
wait 10 more seconds, you
right.
know? Just let it play out. They don't know you're there. Just
Yep.
watch quietly, see how it plays out. Because right now we get nothing from Bruce Wayne, whether he'd kill him or not, because it's taken away from him. The choice is taken away from him, so he doesn't even
Yeah,
get to make the decision.
that is true. I
And
mean, I guess the Reaper is trying to kill all these mob guys, so that could be
but he could have
why.
just waited
But
5 more seconds and killed them
yeah, if he
both.
wanted to find out if Batman was going to go all the way, then he should have
Yeah,
given him the chance to do so
it just
instead of
makes no
taking the
sense.
choice away from him.
So the Reaper's there just sort of laughing, and then he starts shooting at Batman. And I again, what the is happening in this next panel? I don't know. They're flying or something. I don't know.
You know, whatever.
Whatever. Batman can fly now. I don't. What happened there between that panel and they're standing there in the alley, and then the third next page, they're just a pink background and they're flying. What is,
He took to the skies. I don't know.
and look, the bullets are going right through the cape, so not
Yep.
Kevlar.
Yeah, I guess not. Maybe he's just trying to hide, like make it look darker, like, hide in the shadows.
And somehow again, Batman's higher than a skyscraper now. What?
Yep.
Oh.
I don't know. You got me on that one.
And now they're back on the ground and they're fighting. And yeah, Batman's jumping away of the blades, and one of them gets stuck in the ground, and Batman kicks him in the jaw. And then in the very next panel, it's the cover. But Batman's got the blade on his hand now, and he's
Yep.
holding the gun.
It is crazy that the Reaper kicked Batman's ass so like hard that first time, and this time he's not really doing anything different that I can tell, and he's able to get one of his, scythes right away.
Yeah, and even like this, the storytelling here about the side, like again, the kicks, just the sequence of the movements doesn't match up. Like the way the side is in the ground, and very next panel, Batman's got it on his left hand, and he's good to go. Then they're fighting with the scythes, and then Batman shoots at the uses the gun to shoot at the Reaper,
Hmm.
and then he cracks him across the jaw with the blade and
Yeah,
shatters the skull mask. Yeah, did you read that first fight between the two of them? Did you go back and look at it?
I looked at it briefly.
It was a
Yeah,
squash match. It was one-sided as
it
one-sided could
really
be.
was.
And
It
and now
didn't
this
seem
it's
like he
like
has much different strategy this time or
no.
anything. It doesn't. He doesn't have some brilliant. Oh, I thought of this, or I came up with this device. Nothing like that.
Yeah, the Reaper's just a jobber, local jobber, eating the pen here, like doing nothing. And we see Jim Morrison, Gordon, Jim
Gordon.
Gordon. He's
See the
down,
Lizard King down there.
he's looking up, and he's gonna break on through. And we see Batman is chasing the Reaper with the blade toward the edge of the skyscraper. Because again, now they're on top of a skyscraper. None of it makes any sense.
Well, they were this entire fight, except for I don't know how they got up there originally, I guess.
Yeah, except for yeah. All right, so then he pushes the what's his face, or he doesn't push him, but the guy backs up. The Reaper backs up off the ledge of like the girder, and he's just
Yeah.
hanging by the girder, and his skull mask falls to the ground, and he's hanging there, so he doesn't have the mask on. And now Batman says, "Caspian." He recognizes him,
Yeah.
and,
Like,
and he,
oh, you're Rachel's dad.
yeah, and he puts his hand out and he says, "Come on in, it's over." And now Caspian says, "Yes," and I'm glad. I didn't think you were a killer. Again, if you just waited 5 seconds longer, you could have found out.
Hmm.
I see now I was wrong. What? And he just lets go.
Yep.
And because he says, but now I know you will make a fine replacement for me. But what?
I know. That is
How,
kind of stupid.
how does he know he's a killer now when he did nothing to kill you?
Did not kill
And he
anyone.
tried to save you by putting his hand out.
Yeah. Fumbled
He
the execution
he
on
should
that
have said
one
the
for
exact
sure.
opposite. And now I know you're not a killer because you're trying to save me. Um, I don't know.
Yep.
So
Not the best conclusion to the storyline, I'll say that.
And then we just get a picture of Batman holding the gun silently. And then he goes down to the basement of the Wayne Foundation building. And we know that because it's written on the boxes. And he puts the gun in a box to bury it inside the deep in the building dedicated to it or whatever of you killing or they're killing it, whatever. I don't know. Like if I want to honor my dad, I'm probably not going to put the gun that killed him inside a building dedicated to him. That's just me. I'd probably get
Well, you
rid of
also don't you dress up like a bat to avenge your parents all the time.
that
So,
is true. I
he's got
dress,
mental problems.
I dress up like a monkey. Uh, so now we see what do we see here now, Jank? All the news people are trying to get quotes from Rachel Caspian about her dad.
Yeah, she's kind of having a breakdown. Bruce, my father, he's like, yeah, I know, Rachel. And she's like, don't you understand? I got to make amends for all the bad my dad did. So it's back to the nunnery for
She just
me.
reaches into a closet, pulls out her nun dress, and holds
Yep.
it. Yeah, so like I had no idea the nun thing was even a thing when I was reading
Yeah.
this. And
I
when we
think
get
I
to
did.
that, I'm like, wait, what?
That was very quick. Like, holy hell.
This is how she breaks up with all her boyfriends after a while. She's like, oh, the world's such a terrible place. I gotta go repent. Time to be a
she
nun.
she apparently learned how to be a girlfriend from Mike or Matt Murdock's mom.
that's, what if she is Matt
Relationship not
Murdock's
going
mom?
well. Let's get out of here.
What if
Join
she
the nunnery.
what if she is Matt Murdock's mom? This could all be connected.
Could be the
Yeah,
Ninja Turtles, Batman, and Daredevil all connected.
so he goes, she's gonna go, Bruce, I'm sorry. And he says, I do understand, Rachel. Goodbye. Dodged the bullet there,
I'll
Bruce,
never
huh?
see you again.
And he's walking out and we get an overhead shot. This is a nice shot of him walking away and the Batman silhouette behind him in the shadow.
Yeah, that's so good.
So then we see the next page, we see Bruce taking that Dr. Tompkins lady down to the new clinic he built for her within the terrible part of the city.
Yep.
And and she's like, oh, thank you, Bruce. And she kissed him on the cheek, and then they both get mugged. So that's terrible.
And Jim Morrison shows up to say, "This is the end. My only friend, the end."
Uh, and he tells I don't know, he tells Alfred he's gonna go for a walk or something. He says, wait for Miss Tompkins, Alfred. But sir, you don't worry about me, Alfred. It's getting dark. And we turn the page. I can always find my way in the dark. And we get a
Yeah.
Spider-Man picture of Batman
Yep.
swinging through the city. It's the exact same Spider-Man picture that he did in like one of those early Spider-Man
Amazing
issues.
300. Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's pretty great though. The cape is so insanely large that like there's no possible way this could fit on a man, but god damn do I love it.
And again, it's very pointy.
Yep.
And yeah, but the rope is even like way more rope than he needs. So it's like the excessive webbing Spider-Man has. So yeah,
Yes.
it's interesting to read this issue just to see what he
Yeah,
would
the
create.
evolution of
Yeah, in
McFarlane's art.
subsequent years. Like, oh yeah, this is Spider-Man and Spawn all over this.
Oh,
So,
yep. He
uh,
knows what he likes and what he works with. So
so there you go. That's the story. Yeah, I hated everything about this. You, you know
uh
how you feel about Mr. A?
yeah.
That's how I feel.
That bad? Oh my God.
Yeah, it's
I
just
didn't think this was that bad.
I just
No.
felt none of it all felt phony and hokey. Like none of it felt authentic, like how Bruce Wayne would act like this or Bruce Wayne would do this. And
Well, I mean, I guess that's why it's year two. Is he is not a fully formed Bruce Wayne yet. He hadn't been crushed by women enough to know not to marry people
well,
right
in
away.
that sense, McFarlane's the perfect artist then because none of his faces are fully formed in anything else. They all need to be put in the oven for a couple more minutes.
How many
But
more lines can he add to finish the faces?
yeah, I didn't like even a second of this. I don't know. I just thought the
Wow.
Reaper thing was so out of like just didn't make any sense to me in terms of
Yeah,
the timeline.
I like the idea of creating this new villain and going with that rather than doing
I
like
just
a
think they're trying
straight
to make
Batman
something
villain.
him all bloodthirsty because that's what appeals to 80s audiences more than staying true to what the time would have been when the story was. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, again, that's sliding time scale. It's obviously not set in 1937 because
Yeah,
Batman
but
would be like
still, this is
60 years
supposed to be
old.
early on his Batman run, and obviously we weren't having Batman villains behaving like the Reaper for 30 years, and now this Reaper guy is supposedly behaving
Right,
like
but
that.
post-crisis, I think Batman was only supposed to be around for what, a couple of years, like
Oh
5 years
God, I
tops.
forgot about Post Crisis.
Yeah. Like they
Yeah.
didn't reboot Batman, I think like they did with Superman, where it just restarted over. But I think Batman was only supposed to be around for like 5 years ish.
All right,
So,
so there's a loophole for DC, and because they I forgot that DC reboots every couple of years, so
yep.
that's on me. It's my bad, my bad. But yeah, it just doesn't. It feels like a crazy Batman villain to me. Like it doesn't really work. He doesn't feel like a Batman villain, but I guess like you're saying, if it's grittier now or whatever post crisis,
Yeah, so
um,
in that regard, I don't mind it. The looks maybe not the best, and the hands are not really very functional. Like they're cool looking, but I
well,
don't
he can
know.
take the blades off, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
But
he does this thing where he very like slyly hooks him onto his back somehow. And like when he was fighting Batman the first time, he took them off and was just punching them up, and then he put the blades on and started carving them up. But yeah, what else? Yeah, I didn't like the whole Rachel thing. That I gotta go be a nun now. That was weird. But I guess
yeah, it definitely seems weird unless you know, I guess, the backstory of her already going to become a nun. Then I guess
yeah,
it makes more sense because it would seem like a
yeah,
very drastic way of going about it.
um, yeah. I don't know.
Very
I
rash
just
decision.
him teaming up with Joe Chill and
Yeah, that aspect I really liked, honestly. The
I
fact of
I
them
don't like it.
having to work together, bitter enemies. I liked
I
him
don't like it.
confronting him, even though I don't like the whole taking off the mask and then somebody else killing it which is the same
Yeah.
thing they did with like the burglar in Spider-Man. Remember that?
The
Uh
burglar?
yeah, the burglar that killed Uncle Ben. I think it was like Amazing Spider-Man
I
200. Like he tracks
thought
like
that was
that
short for
guy.
the Hamburglar.
Oh. Like he got out of jail, I think, in like around Amazing Spider-Man 200, and then Spider-Man confronted him and like pulled his mask off, was like, "Hey, you killed my uncle, you jerk!" And like the guy got so scared he like had a heart attack or something.
Uh, Peter Parker is so ugly. He's like, I can't put the mask back on. I can't take
Black Cat said the same thing.
it. So, yeah, I don't like this at all. Um, but
I mean, it's not great, but it's a classic kind of just Batman and the mob and a supervillain story, so it functions fine enough for me. There wasn't anything outrageous about it, other than the ending not really making sense. Where
other than the ending not
the
making sense.
Reaper's like plan of trying to get the Batman to kill and then not letting him kill definitely is
And
a major
Batman
flaw in the
somehow
story.
flying. And
I mean, I'm
I
assuming
don't
he basically webbed his way up there with the grappling hook, but
his webs, his web shooters. I don't know. Yeah, it's McFarlane's a train wreck. I mean, this isn't as bad
oh
as this isn't as bad as later stuff I get, but um,
yeah, I guess
the
things different.
storytelling panel to panel is just rough. Nothing really
I will
flows.
sacrifice a little bit of storytelling for something that looks cool as fuck to me.
Yes, well, I don't think any of it looks cool. Not a goddamn single panel of it. But yeah, I would not. I prefer solid storytelling over everything.
I
So,
like an
all right,
Alfred
there
that
you
kind of
go.
looks like the leader.
Remember, uh, the only other skull reminded me of this. Remember John Byrne? He did draw the ringleader. Remember the ringleader skull in that She-Hulk issue was very pencil
Oh,
erasery as well.
yeah.
Um, that's strange, but they're difficult births for the mother, I guess, and they had to yank the baby out. And but so, all right, what do you give this 1 out of 10?
I'm gonna be way higher than you, clearly, but I'll give it like a 5. Mostly
All
because of
right,
the art and the storyline I thought was fine. I didn't have any major qualms, so
I had
I'm gonna
major
give it a
qualms.
solid 5.
Well, because it's Batman Year Two, I'm going to give it a 1.
Knew that was coming. The old switcheroo.
There you go. Detective
All right, a
Comics
1.
578.
Harsh.
Yeah, what are you gonna do? I owe it to Mr. A to crack the whip. So,
I mean, at least he wasn't preaching about bullshit the whole time. Like, at least they were keeping it
uh,
like a Batman story, not a textbook.
so there you go. Detective Comics 578. Maybe we'll do Batman Year One at some point.
Yeah, maybe we will.
We could do 1,000 subscribers. All right, next week, Jank. I feel like had I known about the Peter David news, we could have picked something Peter David-y
Yeah.
in tribute. But I went with a different era of a Peter David character. So I said, you know what? Let's go back to one from my childhood. I had this issue kind of like in a reprint form, like when it was in like Marvel Tales or whatever. But the original issue is Incredible Hulk issue 138. from 1971, and he fights Sandman.
Oh boy.
Yeah, we've never done a Sandman book. He's one of the coolest villains in Marvel, and we've never talked about him in the history of the show. But this is Sandman when he had that wacky outfit.
Oh no.
Yes,
The
I want to get.
worst Sandman.
So we're gonna because I don't know why he had that outfit or where he got it, or
Yeah.
so.
There better be a good reason. Like it's keeping his molecules together
Yeah,
enough for him to be
I think that's what it might be, because I think in an earlier
filled
fight with
sand.
the Hulk, he got compressed into glass,
And
and
then he broke like the absorbing man.
no, that's what I thought of too. But no, but in order to get out of his glass form, he had to go through like some blood transfusion with some villain guy. I can't remember who it was that did it for him. So I'm thinking maybe this outfit is to kind of help him recover or whatever, like you were saying. To...
Or maybe it was just like that guy died and he like wore this dopey costume to honor that villain.
No.
I'm
That's
gonna
only if his
carry
name
on
is
his
Kip.
legacy.
Yeah, if his name is that's the Mighty Crusaders reference.
That's right.
But, yeah, so next week we'll learn all about Sandman and why he was wearing that dopey costume.
I can't wait.
Yes. So that's
I
next
hope
week.
the Hulk beats him with a vacuum cleaner like Spider-Man did.
No.
Dang.
There might be water involved though. I think.
Oh.
I think they go
Remember
underwater.
when Sandman and Hydro Man got combined into one mud creature?
Mudman? I don't remember that actually. I do not.
Yeah.
All right, so that's next week here on the Big Show. Again, if you're watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe. We appreciate the support. And until next week, don't get any jank on you.